concept assembly line, where ideas get to work. It's become a reliable rhetorical tick in American politics. No matter the party, no matter the bill, we can't afford to steal from our children and grandchildren. The phrase is deployed like a parental veto, meant to shut down debate and summon a moral weight heavier than any line item in a budget. Conservatives wield it to oppose social spending and demand deficit reductions. Liberals dust it off to justify taxing the ultra-wealthy. Both sides claim to be protecting posterity. But what if the real theft isn't about budgets or tax brackets? What if we've been looking in the wrong ledger? Because while politicians panic over bond yields and budget caps, our public foundation is quietly crumbling beneath us. The power grid wheezes under climate extremes. Roads rot. Teachers burn out. Hospitals close. And homes, especially the affordable kind, are increasingly just conceptual art. This isn't fiscal prudence. It's generational neglect. And the true robbery isn't what we're spending, it's what we're failing to build. The modern obsession with federal debt, especially among fiscal conservatives, misunderstands the very nature of sovereign finance. The US government issues its own currency. It doesn't need to tax or borrow before it spends. It spends first, then taxes or sells bonds to manage inflation and bank reserves. This isn't radical theory, it's operational fact, baked into every transaction the Treasury makes. So when deficit hawks cry that we're burdening future generations with today's spending, they're not warning of real economic constraints. They're conjuring a moral panic out of an accounting entry. Treasury bonds aren't future tax bombs. They're current savings vehicles. Your grandmother's retirement fund likely owns some. So does your local credit union. So does Japan. And yet this myth persists, that national budgets are like household ones, that debt today must mean suffering tomorrow. The result is a political culture where investing in our collective future becomes synonymous with reckless spending, and austerity gets sold as intergenerational virtue. If we're serious about honoring the next generation, our obligation isn't to a mythical balanced budget, it's to the world we leave behind. The debt that should concern us isn't the one recorded in Treasury bonds, but the mounting deficit in public goods, in resilient energy systems, accessible healthcare, quality education, and affordable shelter. These aren't luxuries or giveaways. They're the infrastructure of freedom, the seed stock of an economy that hopes to be both prosperous and just. Start with energy. Our grid is a relic, strained under the twin pressures of climate change and electrification. Every year we delay its modernization is a year we further constrain the energy future of our children. The transition to clean power isn't just about climate goals, it's about economic durability. Without upgraded transmission lines, distributed storage, and intelligent load balancing, we're forcing future generations to run a 21st century economy on a 20th century power strip. That's not thrift. That's sabotage. Healthcare tells a similar story. In the wealthiest nation on Earth, we still tolerate a system where access to healthcare is rationed by income and zip code. The downstream effects are staggering. Preventable illnesses, chronic stress, lost wages, and ultimately lower life expectancy. This isn't just a crisis of compassion, It's a failure of economic foresight. Every untreated condition becomes a cost that someone else someday will have to bear. Instead of investing in universal, preventative, and community rooted care today, we're choosing to burden our descendants with an even more dysfunctional system tomorrow. I mean, really. GoFundMe to help pay for hospital bills? That's ridiculous. Education, once a great equalizer, has become a stratified battleground. Public schools in many districts are underfunded and overburdened, while higher education often functions more like a debt factory than a mobility engine. And we're not just shortchanging students, we're starving the entire economy of skilled labor, innovation, and civic engagement it will need to navigate a volatile century. Workforce development shouldn't be a political football. It should be a permanent priority. Yet here we are, arguing over textbook content while the walls crumble. Then there's housing, the most tangible expression of stability and opportunity. We have allowed the basics of shelter to become a speculative asset class. Construction hasn't kept pace with population growth. Public housing has been left to rot or disappear. And local zoning laws often function less as an urban planning tool and more as a gatekeeper for generational wealth. The result is a landscape where too many young people are priced out of not just homes, but of entire futures. A place to live is more than a private good. It's the staging ground for every other aspect of life: work, education, health, family. When we don't build, we don't just raise prices, we raise barriers. This isn't an abstract exercise in idealism. It's the concrete math of compounding investment. Just as a dollar invested early grows over time, so too does a school funded today, a clinic built today, a solar grid installed today. Each becomes an annuity paid forward in the form of lower costs or greater resilience and broader opportunity. That's the real intergenerational responsibility. Not the illusion of fiscal restraint, but the courage to build what our children will someday thank us for, not in tax returns, but in the quality of their lives. The fixation of congressional pay-fors and CBO scores incentivizes political gamemanship over genuine investment. If a proposal increases the deficit in a 10-year window, it's branded irresponsible, even if it yields 40 years of savings, growth, or public benefit. Meanwhile, tax cuts for the wealthy sail through, justified by phantom trickle-down effects that never materialize. This isn't budgeting. It's malpractice. And while politicians measure fiscal impact in columns of red ink, real people measure it in missed chances, foregone care, unaffordable homes, and unrealized potential. There's a profound irony here. The only thing that can truly burden future generations is a failure to act now. Deferred maintenance always costs more. Ignored infrastructure always collapses harder. And a generation denied the tools to thrive doesn't just inherit our problems, it multiplies them. Now imagine the opposite, a country where the grid is clean and resilient, where housing is abundant, where education is accessible and adaptive, where no illness bankrupts. That's not utopia. That's what many nations already enjoy because they invest like the future matters. So the next time a politician says we're stealing from our grandchildren, ask them what they've built lately. Because debt is not the crime. Austerity is. And the most dangerous legacy we can leave is a hollowed-out economy held together by nostalgia and duct tape. Stewardship of the future isn't about clutching pearls over deficit projections. It's about planting the seeds of prosperity we may never personally harvest, but someone must. We don't owe our children balanced budgets. We owe them a balanced society, one where the energy is clean and abundant, care is universal, schools are strong, and housing is secure. So let's stop pretending restraint is wisdom. Let's stop mistaking cheapness for virtue. The real theft is not what we spend, it's what we refuse to build. Help get the word out. Subscribe to this video and share.